Tomorrow, Democrats will participate in their first-in-the-nation primary in South Carolina.
Now, this marks the first time that President Joe Biden will be on the ballot this election cycle. He won the New Hampshire primary, as you may recall, as a write-in candidate. And the vote may be an important test of support for President Biden, especially with black voters who helped revive his campaign 4 years ago. For more on this, we are joined by CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion. So, Nikole, historically, black voters are the most reliable voting bloc for Democrats. But we have heard in recent years, especially, that black voters, many of whom feel taken advantage of or taken for granted in their support. So talk to us about the type of turnout and support that the president is hoping to see.
Yeah, well, I think it's important when we're speaking about African-American voters. I mean, certainly not all of them are a monolith. And so there is a diverse range of opinion in terms of, those who support the president, those who think that he could do a better job. But, by and large, obviously, the president and the Biden campaign certainly hoping for a strong turnout here tomorrow. Keep in mind that it was South Carolina that basically resuscitated his campaign back in 2020. And so it ultimately propelled him to front-runner status after he got that support from Congressman Jim Clyburn, certainly an influential congressman here in the state. He won about 48% of the vote, and in large part, much of that was propelled by the African-American vote. So that is why the president and the vice president, who will be here today, have been to the state multiple times, really trying to focus particularly on African-American communities, getting out to churches and barber shops and black-owned restaurants to really try to talk up what they believe have been their investments within the African-American community and hope that they show up and show out once again.
Nikole, I wonder what concerns you're hearing about from voters there in South Carolina.
Well, we've had a chance to crisscross a good chunk of the state. We spent some time yesterday, for instance, at a church in Greenville, South Carolina, which is in the upstate. And I spoke with a local pastor there who basically told me that he does have some concerns about the president, whether that is his age, whether that is, issues of how his administration has been handling the situation in Gaza, issues of affordable housing. He feels the administration should have been able to do more with respect to voting rights. But at the same time, comparatively speaking to President Trump, he thinks that Biden still may be the better option. We also spoke to some of his parishioners who also had varying views about some of the issues that matter to them. Take a listen.
As far as trying to bring the country together, I think he's done a good job with that. Where I think he will need work, I would say the border situation.
I think that he has put some policies in place to help grow our economy. He has fallen short with the border control again. There should have been a resolution by now.
Why is the border important to you all? I mean, obviously we're in South Carolina. It's not a border state.
No, it's not a border state, but everyone in the United States feel the effects of what's going on.
So he said that he would support President Biden, despite, again, feeling maybe that he needs to do more about the border situation. But that a woman that we spoke to, she was actually an independent who voted for President Biden back in 2020. And she said she's still kind of considering her options. She has not decided whether she will vote in the primary tomorrow. She said she does like Nikki Haley, voted for her as governor. And so she's kind of toggling between those two. And that really is that key demographic that certainly the Biden campaign is worried about, that they are targeting, hoping those independents stay in their column. But at the same token, on the Republican side, that is a key demographic that folks like Nikki Haley, President Trump also targeting, hoping to pull some of those Biden voters back.
All right, Nikole Killion in South Carolina for us. Nikole, thank you.